Be honest, have you ever looked in the mirror, felt that time has stolen your youth, your health, your dreams, and asked yourself, so what's left for me now? If yes, then this video is exactly the answer you've been waiting for. The opening jolt. Imagine this: you wake up, look at yourself in the mirror, and for a split second, you don't recognize the person staring back. The wrinkles, the slower body, the heavy sigh, your brain whispers, time stole everything from you. And suddenly, the day feels heavier than it should. Sound familiar? Here's the truth most people never say out loud: hitting 50, 60, 70, or even 80 isn't just about birthdays on a calendar. It's about waking up to a quiet house, missing the chaos that once annoyed you, or feeling invisible in a world that keeps racing ahead. The painful thought creeps in, it's too late for me. But let me shake that thought right now: time hasn't stolen from you. It has freed you. Science backs this up. Psychologists from Stanford found that older adults actually feel more happiness, less stress, and deeper gratitude than younger ones. Why? Because when you stop chasing every shiny thing, your brain finally focuses on what truly matters. It's not loss, it's clarity. Think about it. You're no longer running after promotions, impressing strangers, or building an image. The exhausting noise is gone. And in that silence, a hidden truth emerges: the second half of life isn't about fighting against time, it's about partnering with it. Yes, you might feel weaker in body, but stronger in perspective. Yes, you've said goodbye to certain dreams, but that makes space for something even rarer: freedom from proving yourself. You can live for you, not for anyone else. So, before you believe the lie that life has passed you by, pause and realize, the very thing you fear, time, isn't your enemy. It's your greatest ally, giving you a chance to start again without the chains you carried before, and that's where our journey begins. The illusion of time stealing youth. Picture this: you're flipping through an old photo album, and suddenly your chest tightens. The younger version of you is smiling back, smooth skin, sharp eyes, standing tall with a sense of invincibility. Then you glance at today's reflection and the brain does its favorite cruel trick: it tells you that everything good is behind you. That's the illusion. Here's the science. Psychologists call it negativity bias. Our brains are wired to notice loss more intensely than gain. At 60 or 70, when you look back, your mind highlights what you don't have anymore: the knees that could run, the metabolism that never complained, the career that defined you. It's like your brain is an overdramatic movie editor, cutting out the wins and replaying only the sad scenes on loop. But let's expose the trick. What your brain doesn't remind you of, unless you nudge it, is everything you've gained: wisdom, resilience, stories that could fill a library. Think about it. Would your 25-year-old self have survived half the storms you've weathered? Probably not. Yet here you are. Alive. Stronger than you give yourself credit for. There's also this fascinating fact from neuroscience: memory is not a video recorder, it's a reconstruction. Every time you recall your youth, your brain repaints it, often brighter than it was. That's why your teenage summer feels like paradise when in reality you were sunburned and broke. Time hasn't stolen your youth, it's your brain polishing the past while ignoring the present. So the illusion is clear: it's not that life is emptier now, it's that your brain is bad at balancing the scoreboard. It fixates on what's gone and forgets the treasure you're sitting on. And here's the punchline: youth may have been loud and fast, but freedom, real, unshakable freedom, only shows up when the noise fades. Next time that voice says, "You've lost too much," remember, it's just your brain's smoke and mirrors show. The truth is still waiting behind the curtain. Time is not a thief. Let's start with a strange thought: if time were truly a thief, wouldn't it also be stealing from the young right now? The 20-year-old scrolling TikTok, the 30-year-old drowning in work deadlines, they're losing time too, second by second. But notice something: they don't feel robbed yet, because they haven't paused long enough to notice the clock ticking. You, however, have. And that pause, uncomfortable as it feels, is the start of freedom. Science backs this up in surprising ways. Researchers in neuroscience show that our brains actually rewire as we age. The prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for perspective, gets sharper at emotional regulation. Translation? You might not run as fast as you once did, but your brain gets better at deciding what actually matters. Time didn't rob you, it reorganized you. Here's the trick: we confuse change with loss. When you can't climb stairs like you used to, the brain screams theft. But in reality, time has redirected your energy. Instead of physical speed, you now have emotional depth. Instead of endless possibilities that overwhelm the young, you have clarity about what deserves your attention. That's not theft, it's editing. Consider this: a seasoned gardener doesn't mourn every leaf that falls. They know pruning creates space for new growth. Your life is the same. Every year that seemed to take away actually trimmed the noise, the distractions, the unnecessary battles. What's left is the core of you, sharper than ever. Psychologists even coin a term for this: the positivity effect. As people age, they naturally shift attention toward meaningful experiences and away from trivial stress. Younger people sweat the small stuff: traffic, Instagram likes, fitting in. Older adults, on the other hand, know the secret: most of it doesn't matter. That's not loss, that's liberation. So let's rewrite the story. Time is not sneaking into your life at night, stealing your treasures. Time is more like a tough coach who makes you drop the weights you don't need, so you can finally run light. And the best part? Once you see this, the fear of running out starts to fade, because you realize you're already carrying enough. Lessons from the scars. Here's a funny paradox: the very things you wish had never happened, the heartbreak, the surgery, the financial crash, those are the same things that turned you into the person who can sit here today and nod knowingly. Scars don't just mark survival, they rewrite your story with bold ink. Think about it. A scar on your knee? That's the soccer game you played with reckless joy. A scar on your heart? That's proof you loved deeply enough to risk breaking. Every line on your face? That's life's autograph, signed after battles you didn't even think you'd win. If time had stolen from you, then why does every scar carry a memory that still shapes how you love, forgive, or even laugh today? Psychologists have a word for this: post-traumatic growth. It's the idea that after pain, humans often develop more resilience, more empathy, and a deeper appreciation for life. In fact, studies show older adults often report higher life satisfaction after hardship than those who haven't faced much at all. Why? Because scars teach perspective, something youth simply doesn't have the years to collect. Here's a practical example. Maybe you lost a job at 55 and thought, that's it. Game over. But that forced pause? It might have given you the time to finally pick up painting, or gardening, or writing letters to your grandchildren. Without the loss, the hidden gift never would have appeared. Pain stripped away the disguise, and suddenly you were free to try something real. It's like your life is a mosaic. Up close, the broken tiles look jagged, messy, even ugly. But step back, there's the pattern. The design only works because of the cracks, not despite them. And here's the punchline: scars don't ruin your story, they are your story. So the next time you run your fingers over that old ache, instead of whispering, whining, try saying, "Thank you for teaching me." Because every scar, physical or invisible, is not a receipt of what you've lost, it's proof of what you've gained. Your brain needs a new script. Here's a wild fact: your brain is basically a storyteller on autopilot. It wakes up every morning and hits play on the same script it's been running for decades. If that script says, "I'm old, I'm tired, life has already passed me by," then guess what? That's the movie you end up living. Not because it's true, but because your brain is a terrible but convincing director. Neuroscience calls this neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself at any age. Yes, even at 70 or 80. Studies from Harvard and Mayo Clinic have shown that older adults who learn a new skill, whether it's digital photography, tai chi, or even juggling, literally grow new neural connections. In other words, your brain is begging you for a fresh script, but here's the funny part. Most people keep watching reruns of their I'm Too Old story instead of trying new episodes. Imagine if Netflix only showed you the same depressing movie every night. You'd cancel your subscription. Yet so many of us keep subscribing to the same inner narrative of decline. So how do you rewrite the script? Start small. If your brain says, I can't do tech, write a new scene, ask your grandchild to show you how to FaceTime. If the old script insists, I'm too stiff to exercise, improvise, take a 10-minute walk around the block while listening to music you loved in your 20s. Each time you do this, you're literally editing the brain's screenplay, cutting out the lines that no longer serve you. Here's a metaphor: life is less like a novel with a fixed ending and more like a play with endless rewrites. The actors, that's you, can change their lines whenever they decide. And the audience? That's your future self, waiting to see if you'll keep repeating Act 1 or dare to perform something new. So, when your brain whispers, stick to the old story, smile and say, sorry, we're in rehearsal for a brand new scene. Because here's the kicker, you don't need more time to live differently, you just need a new script. Small actions that liberate the spirit. Here's the biggest myth about change, that it requires massive leaps, dramatic gestures, or a Hollywood-style before and after. The truth? Your brain actually responds better to tiny, almost laughably small actions. Think of them as little keys that quietly unlock heavy doors. Take walking, for example. A study from the University of Illinois found that just 20 minutes of walking a day improves memory and reduces anxiety in older adults. You don't need a marathon. You just need shoes and a sidewalk. That's it. Suddenly, your brain starts releasing endorphins, its own homemade antidepressant. Or let's talk about something even simpler: breathing. You'd think your body has mastered this skill by now, but deep, intentional breathing can literally reset your nervous system. In fact, Stanford researchers discovered that slow, diaphragmatic breathing lowers stress hormones faster than most medications. Translation? 5 minutes of mindful breaths can do more for your mood than an afternoon of worrying. Then there's the underrated art of connection. Picking up the phone to call an old friend, writing a letter, or even chatting with the cashier at the grocery store, these micro-interactions feed your brain's social circuitry. Loneliness, according to countless studies, is more dangerous than smoking. But connection, even in small doses, acts like a vitamin shot for the spirit, and don't underestimate the power of pen and paper. Journaling for 10 minutes a day, scribbling gratitude lists, venting frustrations, or recording memories has been shown to improve emotional health and even strengthen immune function. Your brain loves stories, remember? So when you write, you're not just unloading, you're reshaping your narrative in real time. The beauty of small actions is this: they're too tiny to trigger your brain's favorite excuse: it's too late. Nobody can argue it's too late for one phone call, one walk, one breath. And each micro-action adds up, like drops filling a glass until, surprise, you're overflowing with energy again. Here's the punchline: freedom doesn't arrive in a grand gesture. It sneaks in through the back door, disguised as small daily choices that whisper, see? You're still alive. You're still capable. And you're freer than you thought. The story of someone who began again. Let me tell you about Margaret. At 72, she sat in her quiet kitchen, staring at a half-finished crossword puzzle. Her husband had passed away years earlier, her children were busy with their own lives, and she felt like her best chapters were long gone. I'm invisible now, she whispered to herself. The script in her head said her story was over, but here's where it twists. One day, her granddaughter brought her an old guitar from a yard sale. Margaret laughed. "What am I supposed to do with this? My fingers are stiff, my memory's fading." But that night, alone, she strummed a broken chord. It sounded awful, like a cat falling downstairs. And yet, she smiled. It had been years since she had learned something new. Neuroscientists would tell you that in that moment, Margaret's brain sparked alive. New neural pathways began forming. The act of learning, not mastery, just trying, was rewiring her sense of self. Within weeks, she was attending a local senior music class. Within months, she was playing simple songs. And here's the magic: she wasn't just playing music. She was rewriting her narrative from "life is over" to "I'm still beginning." Stories like Margaret's aren't rare, they're just underreported. People over 70 start community gardens, pick up painting, learn languages, or even start businesses. Research shows older adults who engage in new, meaningful activities report higher life satisfaction and lower depression than those who don't. The world might whisper too late, but science and lived experience shout back, not even close. And here's the kicker: Margaret didn't become a rock star. She didn't fill stadiums or cut records. But she didn't need to. What she gained was freedom, the freedom to feel alive, to laugh at her clumsy fingers, to connect with people who shared her curiosity. Her life wasn't stolen, it was reopened. The point is clear: your ending might just be the beginning you never expected. And sometimes all it takes is one awkward, out-of-tune chord to remind you you're not finished. You're simply on a new page. The art of letting go without giving up. Here's a tricky distinction most people never learn: letting go is not the same as giving up. Giving up says, "I'm done. I quit." Letting go says, "This no longer serves me, I'm free to move forward." Big difference. And at 60, 70, or 80, this skill isn't optional, it's survival. Think about it like this: you're carrying a heavy backpack stuffed with old grudges, regrets, and what ifs. Every step hurts, every breath is labored. You keep thinking, if I drop this bag, I'll lose something important. But the truth? 90% of what's in there is just rocks you picked up decades ago. Letting go doesn't mean you stop walking, it means you finally get to walk lighter. Psychology agrees. A study published in the Journal of Positive Psychology found that older adults who practiced forgiveness and emotional release reported higher well-being and lower stress than those who clung to the past. In other words, your nervous system loves a good clean-out. Take Mr. Lee, a retired teacher I once met. He spent years angry about not getting promoted to principal. Every conversation circled back to that wound. But one day, he said, "Why am I still letting a title I never had define my happiness?" He let go, not of his passion for teaching, but of the bitterness weighing it down. Guess what happened? His laughter came back. His relationships deepened. He became lighter, freer, more himself. Letting go also applies to your body. Maybe you can't garden for 8 hours like you did at 40. Fine. Let go of the old standard. Redefine success. Maybe it's 30 minutes with your hands in the soil, followed by a cup of tea. That's not defeat, that's wisdom. Here's the punchline: letting go is not a white flag. It's a strategy. It's trading what drains you for what sustains you. It's pruning the tree so it can keep blooming. The act of surrender, when chosen wisely, is not weakness, it's the purest kind of strength. Freedom in every moment. Here's a strange truth: freedom doesn't always arrive with fireworks and grand announcements. More often, it slips in quietly, disguised as the smallest, most ordinary moments. A cup of tea steaming between your hands. The sound of your grandchild's laugh echoing through the living room. The way the sunset paints your wall golden at 6:43 p.m. These aren't background noise, they're proof that freedom is hiding in plain sight. Scientists call this mindful presence, the ability to focus on the here and now. Research from the University of Massachusetts shows that practicing mindfulness reduces stress, lowers blood pressure, and increases feelings of joy, especially in older adults. And the best part? You don't need a yoga mat or incense to do it. All you need is a willingness to notice. Take walking, for example. Not the rushed, head down, I need to get somewhere kind of walk. I mean the kind where you feel the crunch of gravel, the rhythm of your breathing, the way the air smells different after rain. Suddenly, the walk isn't just exercise, it's a liberation from the hamster wheel of worry. Or consider food. At 30, dinner was often just fuel between deadlines. At 70, every bite can be savored like a secret. You're not rushing off to a meeting, you're sitting with your senses wide open. That's not a downgrade, that's an upgrade your younger self never noticed. Here's the trick your brain plays. It tries to convince you that freedom only comes from big achievements, travel, wealth, adventure. But freedom in the second half of life is subtler, richer. It's choosing what you give your attention to. And when you choose presence, you stop being a prisoner of yesterday or tomorrow. You step into the only place freedom ever exists. Now. Here's the punchline: time didn't shrink your life. It expanded it sideways, into the small, exquisite details you were once too busy to notice. Freedom isn't out there, it's in your teacup, your garden, your breath. All you have to do is claim it. Time is on your side. Let's flip the script once and for all. Time is not the villain lurking in the shadows. It's the quiet partner that's been walking beside you, reshaping your story in ways you couldn't see while you were busy surviving. The younger version of you thought time was infinite, the older version of you knows it's precious. And that knowledge, that sharpened clarity, is your superpower. Psychologists call this the socio-emotional selectivity theory. As we age, our sense of limited time makes us focus more on meaningful goals and relationships rather than trivial pursuits. Translation? Time hasn't stolen your options, it's filtered them. It's edited out the noise so you can finally hear the melody. Think about it. At 25, you were sprinting, juggling, proving, collecting. At 65, you no longer need to run in circles. You get to choose who you see, what you do, how you spend the hours that remain. That's not loss, that's liberation. I once met a man named Paul who said, "I used to fear birthdays because they meant I was running out of time. Now I celebrate them because they mean I still have time." That's the shift. When you stop seeing time as an enemy and start treating it as an ally, even the ticking clock sounds different. It's no longer counting down, it's keeping rhythm for the dance you're still in. So here's the punchline: time never stole your youth. It handed you freedom. Freedom to live without pretending. Freedom to laugh without apology. Freedom to spend your energy on people and passions that matter, and let the rest drift away. And that's the final truth: time isn't running out on you. It's standing right beside you, whispering, "You're free now. Go live." Time doesn't steal your youth, it gives you freedom and strength to live authentically. Cherish every moment and make ages 50 to 80 the most beautiful chapter of your life. Subscribe for more motivational videos designed to inspire your journey.